Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 22 of Own the Road with AutoTrader, where we make car stuff simple for Canadians. My name is Jodi, and I'm the editor-in-chief of AutoTrader.
And I am AutoTrader's road test editor, Dan Alika, and we are here to talk about something very exciting.
It's my favorite time of year. It's the AutoTrader Awards. So now we finally know the winners for the 2023 AutoTrader Awards. This is honestly one of the most important things that I am lucky enough to work on all year round. We've built the AutoTrader Awards into Canada's most trusted automotive awards, and I'm so proud of that fact. I talk about it all the time.
Not even just like in a professional setting, like personally, she just brings it up all the time.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of this. And the whole reason we do these awards is because we pride ourselves on giving expert, unbiased car advice. And the awards are kind of the biggest.
The cherry on top?
That's a great way of putting it, especially because I love ice cream. So ice cream
Yes.
references really hit with me.
Well, so yeah, it's like the bowl is the whole year doing the reviews, right?
Yeah.
Those are our scoops. And then the cherry on top is, our
Is the
20
AutoTrader
plus
Awards.
experts kind of putting our proverbial heads together through our scoring. And it's pretty, if you ever take one of those surveys and you feel like it's very revealing, that's how I feel every year that I fill out those awards. So we, Andy Lynn, our production editor, goes through a lot of work behind the scenes getting this short list together because we do evaluate every car on the Canadian market.
Yeah, and so not just being the most trusted, the AutoTrader Awards are also Canada's most comprehensive.
Exactly.
And so we are considering every single new vehicle that's available for Canadians to buy.
But when you look at that list,
That's like 350 cars.
and when it's like it feels very revealing because you are taking a step back and it makes you think again. You look back at notes. Sometimes I'll sit down and just say, okay, what does my gut say about this category first and foremost? And then I'll then take that more in-depth look at it. But it's really like, it feels raw. And sometimes I'm like, man, I can't believe I didn't feel better about this car earlier this year, or why did I give this car so much credit? It's very it's an interesting, moment to reflect as we go through the scoring.
Yeah, and especially you don't think that the automotive industry changes that much from year to year, but every year when we look at this list of eligible vehicles, it's so different from the year before, especially in the EV space, And this year we had to change the way we looked at cars. We had to change some of our categories just to account for the fact that EVs are so much more important than they were last year. And there's so many more options. So
we also lost a bunch of cars.
That's true too. A lot of cars have been discontinued, right?
Including the Honda Fit.
I love the Honda
man,
Fit.
What a bummer.
And that won the award last year,
Yeah.
I think, for best subcompact
I think
vehicle.
it won 2 years in a row at least.
Because it was so good.
So good.
But the whole reason we do these awards is because we know that it's very hard to figure out what separates a good car from an award-winning car. There are so many great options out there. And we know that if you're in the market for a new vehicle, those options can be kind of overwhelming. So we get all of our automotive experts together to vote on the best ones in over 30 categories to help you kind of feel more confident the next time you're looking for a car. You're not really sure, which ones you should be looking at.
Yeah.
This is a great jumping off point for your research. So these cars, these winners represent the ones that got the most amount of votes from our experts. And what I always tell our experts is you're voting for a vehicle that you can feel confident recommending to your own friends and family.
I think that's an important caveat because you don't want to say you're voting for the car that you would buy, because so many auto journalists
They would all be Porsches.
Porsches or Mazdas, which is an interesting thing, right? That it's just auto journalists tend to like the way that Mazdas perform.
Yeah.
And so it gets kind of I don't want to say a disproportionate number of votes, but they do tend to score highly, but maybe not necessarily in categories that matter to consumers.
Because
right?
automotive journalists like Dan and I, we love driving. And
Yeah.
so vehicles that are fun to drive and exciting to drive, they get us excited. And so those vehicles tend to get a lot of votes. But when we tell people to vote for vehicles that, you know, your mom would be comfortable driving, like that's the kind of criteria we're looking
Yeah, you're not like,
for.
oh yeah, you know, sporty handling. Hey mom, what do you think of this? You know,
I mean, my mom cares about that, but I think most moms
you know whose mom doesn't? My mom.
Yeah. Your
Like
mom is
that's
so
just not
sweet.
she is, but that's not something she
Yeah.
would care about. So it's important to kind of give that little
Yeah.
reminder to
So
everyone.
just before we get into the winners, and we're not going to go through all of them because we literally have over 30 different categories
But
in
you
every
could
different body
go
style.
to autotrader.ca/awards where you can find not only the winners, but the finalists, what makes a winner. We have descriptions. We have everything you could imagine and then some, including years past. So you can reference back
Yeah.
to last year's winners and the year before
And
that.
you can see who's voting. Who are these experts we're always talking
Shout
about?
out to Brendan McAleer, Peter Bleakney, Jill
Jill
McIntosh,
Sammy Hadjasad,
Vincent Obey, Matt St. Pierre. We have such an outstanding roster of contributors.
Some of the most talented, most experienced people in this industry are voting on these awards. So you can feel very confident that these choices really represent the best of the best out there. And when we're voting for winners, we're really looking for vehicles that go above and beyond what's expected to give Canadian drivers the whole package. You know, we're looking at value, safety, innovation, technology, engineering. Like we really want something that goes above and beyond because that's what we think separates a good car from an outstanding award-winning car.
And I think, you know, you touched on it. It's like the reality, it's not just, you know, one of those like low-hanging fruit talking points, but cars are so good these days that that is the differentiation. Now, it's not bad car from good car.
Not at all.
It's every car is good. Which ones are the great ones? And that's what these awards are trying to figure out.
Yeah, so we're going to go over a couple of the kind of more important categories because, like, again, we have an award for every single body style out there, from trucks to wagons to minivans to sports cars. So get strapped in. This is going to be a fun episode. We get very excited about the awards because it's honestly, we put so much effort into them.
It's true.
Because we take our jobs of giving you guys expert advice very seriously.
We should maybe let's go through some of the kind of, you know, like the categories that matter, but also some of the surprises would be
Sure.
fun.
Okay. So I kind of wanted to start with our EV and green categories.
Yep.
So in years past, we kind of lumped all of the green cars into one category. Because there have been so many changes in this segment, we've divided them out. So this year we have awards for best PHEV, best hybrid.
You mean best PHEV?
People don't say that.
People say PHEV.
Nobody says that.
Email us at expert@trader.ca if you say PHEV versus PHEV when you're describing your plug-in hybrid, please.
I still don't think Dan's
This is
right
like that
about
debate we
this.
had about people calling it the grocery store versus the supermarket. Nobody calls it the supermarket except for like the cast of Sesame Street, okay?
That's where I learned everything, okay? He also makes fun of me because I say soda instead of pop.
Pop. It's pop.
It's soda.
No, it's not.
Anyway, so yeah, we have best plug-in hybrid or PHEV, best hybrid, best premium EV, and best mainstream EV. So we're really trying to make sure our awards are the most helpful for you by kind of dividing out those categories because that's how we think people are looking for cars and researching cars.
Absolutely.
So why don't we start off with the winner for best mainstream EV in the 2023 AutoTrader Awards?
I haven't even looked at this. This is actually a surprise.
Is it really?
Yes.
Okay, so the winner is the Hyundai Ioniq 5.
Good car. Good car.
I love the Hyundai Ioniq 5 because it looks so cool. I honestly think it is one of the coolest looking EVs out there in this segment right now.
It is a rear wiper away from greatness.
That's true. So it's not perfect, but it's pretty close.
I love the look. I love
Tons of range.
Tons of features. It really does, like, it hits all the marks that you could, you know, that you could want from an EV.
And it's
from
great.
A vehicle, not just an electric one, actually.
It's true. It's roomy inside, very futuristic
It just
design.
needs a rear wiper. That's a joke, but it's also true. Like, for whatever, you know, when it comes to EVs, the big thing, right, is aerodynamics, and any little gain that they can make, these designers and engineers will. And so when they're testing in the wind tunnels, I guess, the drag from that rear wiper, they decided to get rid of it. But in North America, especially where we're using salt on our roads in Canada, most of Canada, I should say, that buildup on the back of the car driving in the winter is just not
and
good.
It is a hatchback. Like, I know they
Yes.
call it a compact crossover or
It's not.
something, but come on, it's a hatchback,
Yeah.
and hatchbacks need a rear wiper.
Yes.
But anyway, love the Ioniq 5. The other thing to note about that vehicle is that at the base level, it falls in under the incentive cap.
I think most trims do.
Most of them do, but there are higher up trims,
Of
like the all-wheel
course.
drive, dual motor, extended range.
But I think, see, what Hyundai did that was kind of smart is, instead of the trims, it's packages, so it keeps so the trims qualify, and then you can add the packages as opposed to it being a separate trim.
Yeah.
So
overall, just a really great vehicle, very
It's true.
deserving of that win.
Yes.
And then so moving on, so best premium EV.
Ooh.
And so this is EVs that are, we used to use a price cap. So this is the other way we've changed our awards. So we used to put a 50 grand price cap on it. We found that it didn't really make that much sense.
Also, because the average transaction price of a new vehicle in Canada is up above like 45 grand now.
Yeah,
So you can't, a $50,000 price cap, that's no longer a premium vehicle. That's
a regular
mainstream
vehicle. So that's why we had to change that. And so the winner of the AutoTrader Award for Best Premium EV is the Ford F-150 Lightning.
Wow, good one.
I love that truck. You really loved that truck.
Yes.
And it's great that all of our
Game
experts kind
changer.
of are on the same page.
That is going to, I think skeptics are going to become believers. I think believers are just going to, have their beliefs reinforced. I think it's super cool. It can't tow very much.
But for everything else.
But for everything else.
And
For what most people use them for. That's what I said in my review.
Exactly.
Which you can find at autotrader.ca/editorial. Is that for what people largely use trucks for nowadays, F-150 Lightning does it all.
Yeah, it has a huge front trunk. Like, it's
Frunk.
so, it's a frunk, but it's so practical.
Yeah.
It pretty much looks and operates like a regular F-150, so it's familiar, which is nice because with a lot of EVs, they're so radically different that it takes a little bit of getting used to, but like hopping into the F-150 Lightning, it feels so familiar.
Yeah.
And that's really nice.
Honestly, like the big difference you'll notice when you get inside is that the screen is this vertical touchscreen from like the Mustang Mach-E instead of the big horizontal one from the F-150, the regular F-150. Otherwise, it feels just about the same. It's got the same clever touches with so that flip down desk, that work surface and all that stuff, and even like the tailgate. Everything is the same. It's just better, right? So it's got those onboard scales. It's got all kinds of cool stuff. That built-in generator, 9.6 kilowatt generator.
That's amazing.
Built right in. Amazing. You could go to the job site and plug a welder in.
Yeah. And you've heard stories of people powering their homes with it in a blackout.
Yeah, if you have one of those Ford Pro Power home charging stations, you can reverse cycle the battery. So, charge overnight. You could really power your house from the truck.
Yeah, super cool stuff.
Yeah.
So the F-150 Lightning, very deserving of that win. Let's do...
How about this one caught my eye?
Actually, I just wanted to add that the F-150 Lightning also won as our best overall green car. So in that category, we do lump them all together. And that means the Ford F-150 Lightning got the most amount of votes for any green vehicle, which
crazy.
Is super, super cool. And when you consider that in the premium category, it's up against stuff like the Porsche Taycan, that kind of stuff. So it's really neat that the Ford F-150 managed to be so impressive, even next to vehicles like that.
Okay, so here's the one when I picked up the list. I didn't look at it all. The one that caught my eye that I was not surprised, oh, it shouldn't be here, but just holy moly.
What is it?
Best overall truck.
Uh-huh.
You're thinking Ford F-150, maybe F-150 Lightning, all of this stuff, right? Nope. Ford Maverick.
So that one is... So we were trying to figure out why the Ford Maverick was voted as the best overall truck.
It's good.
And it's really good. It's also available as a hybrid, which is amazing, and it is so efficient. And the thing is with most trucks these days is that most full-size trucks have gotten too big and too expensive for most people. And so the Ford Maverick is an excellent option. It's realistically sized. The practicality is still there. They have lots of clever details. It was very smartly designed.
I think the other thing that it has in its favor is that traditional mid-size trucks, like the Ford Ranger, they're not that much more efficient than full-size trucks. So why not? If you're downsizing anyway, why not go with something that's gonna save fuel? Not even the hybrid, even the gas powered
Right.
model. But yeah, you're right. It's very clever. It's easy to drive, decent value. Like it really ticks a lot of boxes. The only thing that I will say that I wish Ford would do, and a Ford spokesperson told me that there's nothing physically stopping it. The hybrid is not all-wheel drive. But if you look at the Ford Escape, which it uses the same powertrain, that is available. The hybrid is available with all-wheel drive. So I really think Ford needs to carry that over because the penalty as far as fuel efficiency is like negligible.
Yeah.
So
And considering how popular all-wheel drive is with Canadians, it's kind of a no-brainer,
yeah,
right?
so that's the only thing I would like to see, but it doesn't detract from the win itself. Very well deserved.
It is a great truck, very deserving of that award.
Yeah.
And it's so impressive to me that our experts voted for it more than the F-150, knowing how popular the F-150 is. But,
Yeah.
that's not, it's a great truck. And you can argue that it's the best truck, but it's not the best truck for everybody.
And you know what else you can argue? It is a real truck. So many people are, that's not a real truck.
Oh, because it's not like
It's
a
like
body-on-frame truck.
Oh, my friend Cam Loker. Oh, he is one of those like that Honda Ridgeline. That's not a real truck.
Come on, if it has an open bed, it's a real truck. That's what I say.
Anyways, there's my rant.
But okay, you know what else is really impressive? So best compact luxury car.
Yes.
Last year, it was the Genesis G70, which is a
Yes.
great compact luxury car.
Emphasis on the compact.
This year, it's the BMW i4.
Love that.
And that is so cool because that's the first time an EV has won in this category.
That's what I really like it's not just about our awards, it's about the automotive landscape itself, right? Is that before, like you were saying, that it really was kind of niche. And the reason our categories were, best green vehicle and it included hybrids and plug-in hybrids as well as battery electrics is because that's what the market was made of. Now, not only are there more green choices, but they're better than they've ever been.
Yeah, and especially with the i4, it's based on the BMW 4 Series. So the same thing about the F-150 Lightning, whereas that getting into the i4 felt really familiar because it looks like the regular 4 Series. Inside, it's exactly
Which
the
is
same.
somewhat unfortunate.
Because of that big grill that's like
What
buck-toothed.
I said, it's like, what's her name from Hocus Pocus? The movie Hocus Pocus. Right? That's what it looks like.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But I loved the i4 when I drove it. It had tons of range, like more than advertised,
Yeah.
and it was very easy. It was fun to drive. It was very easy to get used to. And something that surprised me was that it's actually affordable.
Yeah.
I was very surprised that you can actually get one for under 60 grand.
Yeah.
Like
cool.
that was mind-blowing to me. So very deserving of that win.
Let's talk about some, okay, how about, especially, inflation and cars are expensive. Best compact car.
Great. Yeah, I love that. So the winner of our best compact car is the Honda Civic.
Well deserved. Great
Well
car.
deserved. Built right here in Ontario.
How about we should also talk about the fact that, and this isn't necessarily a knock on the last generation or the last few generations of the Civic, but they were good. But the thing that always set the Civic apart in my mind in this segment is that it was always like a clear leader, right?
It just made a lot of sense.
But it kind of got a little bit lost. It was still a great car, but it just like, it wasn't the head and shoulders, leading compact car.
Right.
But man, this new generation has
Yeah.
really brought it back to that.
Yeah, right. You're right. Because it really embodies that whole thing we're looking for where it goes above and beyond what's expected.
It's so good. It looks good. It drives good. The interior is so cool. That honeycomb grill across the dash. Oh man, I really like that car.
It's great. Yeah. Love that it's built here locally. There's so many good things about the Honda Civic. Also has a great reputation for being very reliable. But that leads us to our next category, which is Best Mainstream Performance Car.
Okay.
And the winner of that award was the Honda Civic Type R.
Boy, I love that car.
It's fantastic.
I don't just like that car. I love that car.
You were really jazzed about it when you drove it last year.
I had so much fun cruising around in it. And it was just like, it's not just because of the, like, you know, you expect cars to improve as the generations go along. Yes, it's better than the old one. It looks better, but it's just like so good. It feels like the engineers were really allowed to kind of cut loose a little bit.
Yeah.
And you and I had that discussion because I drove it right before I drove the Toyota GR Corolla, which is also really good. But there's kind of like this raw edge to the Civic Type R that you want in a car like that.
Yeah, and I think that was something that was missing from the previous
Totally.
one,
Too
is that it
predictable.
just didn't have a lot of personality.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about performance cars, you have to get really animated and silly and have a little bit of fun with it.
Plus, red carpet. Say no more.
Oh, I love the red carpet. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Also, it looks so much cooler than the old one.
the
Like,
old
I
one
couldn't
was
drive
so
the old
ugly.
one without feeling embarrassed about it, but the new Type R is perfect.
Looks great.
Yeah.
The wide body, but it's not over the top. Everything. It's subtle. It's good. Great. Love it.
Very deserving of that win.
Okay, what else? Let's talk about crossovers, you know. Considering
yeah.
they're so popular, we haven't really touched on
Yeah,
these.
so best compact SUV, major segment for Canadian car shoppers.
Yep.
And the winner of that one is the Subaru Outback, which also won as our best overall SUV, which means it got the most amount of votes from our experts for every SUV in the whole
And this is
market.
very cool because aside from a facelift, this is the same Outback that was introduced in 2019, I believe, which was largely the same
Yep.
as the Outback that was rolled out in 2015 or whatever it was. Aside from the power, that turbocharged engine that was added. The cool thing to see it win best overall SUV is it just goes to show you kind of the staying power of greatness.
Yeah, because if you build a great product, it doesn't have to necessarily be, you know, the flashiest or the most innovative. It just has to be really good at what it does.
Yeah.
And the Subaru Outback is so practical.
I used to drive one.
Yep.
Loved it. My parents drive one. They love it. My friends Carrie and Allie drive one. Everybody who drives an Outback loves it.
And recently when I went to like Arizona and Utah and all that, I saw tons of new Outbacks. They're very popular with people who are outdoorsy and go camping and hiking.
You know what the Outback is a little bit, if you think about it? It's kind of like a fanny pack, where it's like people who use them know that they're invaluable, but other people are like, that's not sexy. But
so practical.
And then once you start using one, you're
Can't
like,
go back.
oh man, this is where it's at.
That's how I discovered my love of fanny packs.
So that's the Outback, right? Is that people
Yeah.
who love them just know how great they are at what they do. And just because other people don't necessarily think they're cool, not only are those people what I like to call wrong, but they're also now missing out on the best overall SUV for the 2023 AutoTrader Awards.
Yeah, and the Subaru Outback is one of those vehicles that, like, once you drive it in the winter with winter tires and discover that it is a beast.
And it's also Subaru's always had this black magic with fuel efficiency, where it's like, how does it achieve these great numbers?
Even with permanent all-wheel drive.
Full-time all-wheel drive, and the thing is still very miserly. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, great SUV.
I actually recommended one to a friend and said that it's the only car I've owned that I've ever missed.
Really?
And keep in mind, I owned a first-gen Mazda Miata.
I was just about to bring that up. You missed the Outback more than your
Way more.
Miata? Wow.
If
that says
it
a lot.
was still available with a manual transmission, I would still own an Outback.
That's a good point. Although, the winner of our best subcompact SUV award is the Subaru Crosstrek.
Which is available with a manual transmission.
And it's one of the only vehicles that you can buy right now that is both all-wheel drive and available with a manual transmission.
That is true.
I recommend the Subaru Crosstrek to a lot of people who are outdoorsy, who need the extra space. I like it because it's a little bit larger than the other vehicles in its segment.
Yeah.
But also much more affordable oftentimes.
And it drives pretty well. The addition of the 2.5 liter
Game
engine,
changer.
game changer, because that thing was gutless.
That thing was so
before.
slow. Now
Like,
that you can get that more powerful engine, it's perfect.
and that's the thing, we've talked about this before. It's not about it being fast. That's not what we're looking for, but it's like the 2 liter as it sits, you know, there are some moments the transmission gets caught out where you do feel a little scary merging on the highway, stuff like that. Having just that little, it's not a ton more horsepower and torque. It's like, you know, 24 more horsepower, something like that.
But it makes all the difference when you're like passing someone.
Just what you need, exactly.
Yeah.
The torque curve is like a little bit wider, so you can actually get up and go when you need to. Yeah, love to see that, and another well-deserved win.
Yeah, congrats, Subaru. That's 2 big wins for them. That's great. Oh, here's an exciting one. Best premium performance car.
I'm having a look. I'm trying to catch it before you tell me.
The winner of that award is the Cadillac CT5 V Blackwing.
Take my money.
Which is like honestly one of Dan's most favorite cars. And this is so impressive to me because this is the category where like Porsche 911s live in, Mercedes AMG GTs, you know, Corvettes. Like these are heavy hitters.
Take my money.
So the fact that the Blackwing was so impressive is very cool to me. And I think one of the reasons why it won this category was because of the value aspect.
Yeah. It's crazy. I think it starts at like 85 grand.
Which is a bargain.
It's insane to me. Like, no, I don't think Cadillac is making a ton of money off of those, but that's not the point. It's ridiculous, but it's like both scary and powerful. It's like polished. It is the closest thing to a C7 Corvette with 4 doors.
It has everything that driving enthusiasts want.
Manual transmission, rear wheel drive, tons of output, and when
it looks cool, it's exclusive, it's a future collectible for sure.
When I got it, I was so like, when I went to pick it up, I saw the spec sheet and it was like black paint. I was like, oh man, a black press car. And then I was like, oh my, this thing's so menacing.
It looks sick.
It's got mine had the bronze wheels on it. Oh my God, I'm having flashbacks.
It was so funny too because I drove it very briefly when Dan had it and he was like, Jodi, be careful. Be careful. And I'm like, Dan, I know how to drive. And he's like, but still, be careful.
It wasn't that. It was not it was like, hey, this thing will. And remember the clutch? You were like, I was like, this is a heavy clutch. And you're like, I've been driving manual since I was like 16. And then you went to press, you were like, I've never felt a heavier clutch than this.
But I like that because it makes it that much more rewarding to drive because it is a little bit challenging. And I'm a firm believer that when sports cars are too perfect, it takes away from some of that experience, right? And so when you work harder for something, it just becomes more rewarding when you get it right.
Okay, let's do one more because we promised that we would cut this one shorter than the last. So let's squeeze one more in there and then we can...
Ooh, this is a good one. So, Canada's most trusted car brand. So this one is a very interesting category because it is the only one that our experts did not vote in. You voted for this.
Yeah.
So we did a survey.
She doesn't mean me, by the way.
I'm
she
pointing
means
at
you,
the camera.
the listeners. For those of you who can't see Jodi pointing, it is you Canadians who are voting for the most trusted brand.
So we did like a third-party blind survey where we asked, you know, when it comes to car brands, which is the one you trust the most? And we listed them all out. Every single mainstream automaker we listed out there. And Toyota came in first place. So thank you everyone who voted in that survey. I think that's a really great win for Toyota. It makes so much sense. You know, they have an amazing reputation for reliability. Their stuff is affordable. There's something for everyone. Their lineup is massive, like all the way from subcompact cars all the way up to full-size trucks.
And, you know, they build some vehicles in Canada. It's really like the presence that Toyota has is like felt across the country.
And they're pioneering, you know, hybrid vehicles. They've been a pioneer in that space for a really long time. And you know, they just have something for everybody. Sports cars, vans, everything.
Oh my God, we could even talk about the fact that the Supra is now available with a manual transmission. If you want to talk about how crazy, like Toyota could have just said, hey, we make hybrids and that's that. But they didn't. They said, we're going to give you the GR Corolla and a manual Supra. I love it. Well-deserved win. We're right on time here. Let's shut her down before we go over this self-imposed time limit.
Well, if you all want to know more about the AutoTrader Awards, please visit autotrader.ca/awards.
Talk faster.
Where you can see all of the winners. You can see what we're looking for. Again, really proud of all this. So thank you for tuning into this episode and for, supporting our awards, because it really is so much fun for us to do.
3 seconds, MacGruber.
Okay, bye everybody.
See ya.